Today we are talking about why it is important for anyone who calls themselves a disciple of Jesus to read and study the Bible. Why engaging with the Bible should be a regular practice for all disciples of Jesus. And I want to get right to the bottom line on this. What we believe is that if you want to know the truth about God, and if you want to live your life following Jesus, then the Bible is the best source that we have for knowing about God and for knowing what it looks like to follow Jesus. It just is. Now, I'm the teaching pastor here at Grace, and I have been for a long time. And so I've been asked lots of questions about the Bible. I get questions like, where did the Bible come from? And is the Bible we have today what was originally written, or have people changed it over all the centuries and made it something completely different? And people have asked me, why do you believe that the Bible is true when there are so many other religions? Or people say, why do I need to read the Bible when I can just commune with God on my own in nature? And the fact that I'm continually asked these kinds of questions shows that many people struggle with the Bible being the source of truth about God. And having answers to these kinds of questions is important because pretty much all of our faith is based on the Bible. And if we aren't confident that the Bible is trustworthy and true, then our faith will always be tentative. And so what I hope to do today is to give you confidence that reading and studying the Bible is worth the effort. That regularly engaging with the Bible will help you know God and will help you follow Jesus. Now, when it comes to that one question that people ask me all the time, where did the Bible come from? I first want to tell you where the Bible didn't come from. The Bible isn't a magical book that dropped out of the sky, nor was it written by people who went into a trance and wrote furiously without any knowledge about what they were writing. And then they woke up and showed people what they had, and everybody went, oh, this has to be from God. Some people do envision the writing of the Bible like this, but honestly, it simply isn't true. We have a great deal of information about how the books of the Bible were written, when they were written, why they were written, and we even have a lot of information about who wrote them. And if there's one thing that we can say about the Bible, it's this: the Bible isn't some mysterious, crazy, otherworldly religious book written by people who are out of touch with real life. The truth is, the Bible is exactly the opposite of this. It is an earthbound book. It deals with the kind of issues that everybody deals with. It deals with family and friends and enemies and joys and sorrows and all the things that we normally experience in life. The Bible is filled with the experiences of regular people, the experiences, though, that they've had with God while they were living through the rough and tumble reality of a normal life. And so, where did the Bible come from? It came from regular people like you and me, who had had experiences with God and were so overwhelmed that they were inspired to write down what they'd found through those experiences and what they had also found out to be true about God through those experiences. And then others, after reading what these people had written down, they recognized the truth in these books. And then, as a community, they agreed that these books needed to be kept and copied and shared with other people. And all because they fully believed that these books told the world the truth about God. The Bible is simply this: it is a collection of 66 different writings by any number of authors. There are history books in there, there are poems, there are prophecies, letters. They were all written over a 2,000-year time span. And they tell us the truth about God and his relationship with real people like you and me. This is why it's important to read it and know what it really says, because it will tell you the truth about what it is like to have a real relationship with God in the real world. And while I don't have time to talk about it much at all today, the process of putting together these 66 books that we have and all sorts of things to do with the history of getting the Bible as it is, I will tell you this, that it took close to 400 years of dialogue and study and argument and prayer by serious, humble people who only had one thing in mind, and that was following God's leading to be certain that if they were going to put together a collection of books for others to read and study, then they better be certain that those books all told the truth about God and his love for everyone. That was what was mostly on their hearts the whole time. Now, there's a lot that I can say about all this subject about how we got the books in the Bible and how we know that it hasn't been changed over years by people. And I'm happy to come and talk about all that stuff if anybody would ever care to listen to it. But the most important question for today is, how can we be sure that the Bible is telling us the truth? That's capital T, the truth. Or maybe a better way to say this is, why do we believe the Bible is telling us the truth when there are so many other religions and they all have their own sacred books that they say tell us the truth about God? Now, I know that we live in a time of religious tolerance, and I understand the need to be respectful and listen to one another. But anyone who tells you that all of the religions are simply different pathways to the same destination simply haven't seriously studied all of the different religions. It is true that all religions talk about the importance of peace and getting along. And they all talk about things like family values, and they talk about doing the right things. But those kinds of things are not the core beliefs of any religion. Now, my intention is not at all to be confrontational, but if you seriously look at the various religions' claims, what they say about God himself, just that one thing about God, you'll see that it's completely illogical to say that all religions are essentially the same. Let's take Islam, for example. Islam believes that there is one God and that he is all-powerful and he controls everything. We all live one life, and then Allah judges us. But he's free to decide whatever he wants about us. Our eternal destiny is determined by just how he happens to feel on the day of judgment. Our lives have nothing to do with that. Then Hinduism says that there are thousands of gods, and each one controls a small, minute part of the world, and that each one deserves to be worshipped. And Hinduism says that we are reincarnated over and over and over, and the life that we live now is determined by what we do in the life before this one. And then Buddhism, on the other hand, says there's no God at all, and there's no afterlife, that the whole purpose of life is to live in a way that you can get rid of all unnecessary desires. Now, let's just be honest. It cannot be true that there's one God and thousands of gods and no God at all at the same time. That's just logically impossible. So here is the bottom line on all of this. Any one of the world's religions, any one of them, could be true. All of them could be completely wrong. But all of them cannot be true. It just doesn't make any sense. And of course, we believe that the ultimate truth is found in Christianity. And we believe that the Bible does lead to the ultimate truth about God. And we aren't alone in this. Millions of people have felt the same way for thousands of years. And here's a challenge I want to give to you. If you want to find out why the world was created in the first place and how the world became so broken, and if you want to find out why our relationships with God and with others seem to be so difficult and distant, and why in the midst of all of this brokenness, God is reaching out to you with his love, then I recommend you read the book of Genesis. I guarantee that it will speak to you in ways that you'll know you're hearing the truth. Or if you've ever wondered if there's a God who cares about your inner feelings, who cares about what's going on in your heart and your mind, if you ever wondered if there's a God who listens to you when you're angry or frustrated or joyous, who cares about your sorrows, if you've ever wanted to know the truth about whether God is concerned about the condition of your heart, then read the Psalms. And I promise you that they will speak to you in ways that you'll know that you have found the truth about how much God cares for you. Or if you've ever wondered why the world is in such a sad state, and if God really cares about things like the injustice in the world, or if God cares about the poor, if you've ever wanted to know the truth about how much God loves each and every person and what lengths he would be willing to go to rescue us from the darkness in the world, then read the Gospels. I don't care which one, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, they will all tell you the truth about Jesus and his love for you and his care for those who are downtrodden in the world. Or if you've ever wanted to know the best ways that we should live together, what it means to truly love one another and what it looks like to treat each other well, then read Paul's letters to the churches and you'll find out everything you need to know about God's desires for your life and how you can live with others in the best of ways. I promise what you will find is truth that makes sense, that's rooted in the regular life that we all live. And it's truth that will give you a sense of meaning and purpose in life. You read the Bible, and I promise you, you will find the truth. This is why disciples of Jesus should be reading the Bible. God has given us the Bible as his way of speaking to us straight from his heart. He wants us to know his ways. He wants us to know his counsel and his love. And the only way to come to the fullest understanding of these truths begins with reading the Bible. Or listening to it. You can listen to it. It was written originally to be listened to. It's okay to listen to tapes of it. That's fine. But when you're listening, know this, that God is going to tell us about his own heart for you. Now, God does reveal himself a little bit in nature, and God does reveal himself through other people and the way that other people treat us. But the primary way that God reveals himself is through the Bible. So this is why disciples of Jesus read it. And as you're reading it or listening to it, stop every once in a while and just say, God, what are you trying to tell me about yourself in this passage? And then ask, what are you trying to tell me about me in this passage? Never forget that the reason we have the Bible is so we can have a closer relationship with God, not so we can be smarter about some book. No, God's greatest desire is to be with us. His giving us a book was simply one way to make our relationship with him deeper, while we wait for the day when we are not going to need a Bible to tell us about God anymore. We'll get to hear about him. We'll get to hear him face to face. Someday, we won't have to wonder about the truth because the author of all truth will be with us. But until that day comes, we have a great gift. It's a great gift. It's a gift that tells us over and over and over how much God loves us and how much he wants us to be with him. And this is why we feel that reading and studying the Bible should be a regular practice of all disciples of Jesus. It leads us to life with meaning, life with purpose. And it gives us the assurance that God loves us.